Hello, David. It's fantastic to have you on the show today. Built, trusted, chosen. And I know you've got some great success stories and so on in the industry where we talk specifically to people in trades and construction. But just to set things up, if you'd like to introduce yourself, tell us who you are, what you do, why you do it, all those sorts of fun things.
Yeah. I'm David Forster, farm kid turned construction guy turned whatever I am today, right? And grew up in the Midwest on a cattle farm, and just never could get out of the dirt. I love building. I love working with my hands. So I went straight into the landscaping world as soon as I could. Honestly, that was where most of my background is at. Built a couple of those businesses and sold them along the way, and then kind of dabbled in a few other things, logistics and retail as well, that we've built and sold a couple of things. My wife and I, when I say we. And today I'm the COO of Tossig Landscape. We're a full service landscape company in Manhattan, Kansas, right smack in the middle of the United States. And I also am the CEO of Systems Over Sweat. And so I do consulting and coaching for trades, business owners, and leaders, primarily around proper decision frameworks and how to build the right systems and SOPs to take away all the stress. So.
Fantastic. Well, you're well set up for that consulting side of business if you've done multiple businesses. What I've found speaking to lots of people throughout the world is most of us start our businesses in naivety. We have no idea how to start a business or run a business. We have a skill set that we probably were trained in, and we did that for other people. And we launch our businesses without any understanding of how to do everything else. So can you speak to that? What for that first business, I'm sure that's the biggest learning curve that you experienced. What was that like for you?
Yeah, I mean, obviously like solopreneur type thing. I don't even know if I would really call it a business. My first one, I was doing landscape maintenance and some small projects as a young guy, and just kind of kept at it and started honing my skills and learning more, and getting some training and certifications that, led to, okay, business has grown. I've gotten busier. I had to hire some people, had no idea how to train people, just said, watch me or do what I say kind of stuff, just, and then comes, the end of the year, and you got a box full of receipts that you tried to keep track of everything and find out like, oh, I mismanaged my money horribly. And now I have to learn how to, let's not do that again next year. That hurt. Right. And just a lot of those lessons stacking on top of it.
Yeah. Putting aside the money that you'll need to pay for tax, every nation works slightly differently than that, but it's pretty consistently true that you need to set aside the right amount of money at the end of a cycle to make sure things keep afloat, which is a big lesson. And so
obviously making money and buying equipment, but you got to make sure. The equipment can be enticing, can't it? So we can see the benefits of it, but maybe we're not quite ready for it financially. So, so you've transitioned from that smaller business, but that building out a team, you mentioned that was a little bit tricky. Well, what were kind of some of the lessons you learned in that process? Yeah, I mean, I've always been a very driven, like self-driven kind of solo kind of personality. I didn't play team sports, so I never really learned a lot of that team dynamic stuff that some people do. And so it was really just farm life, doing what I was to do. Right. And so I just took that into business and thought that was going to be the way it worked, and wasn't the most productive mentality that I had anyway. Some farmers are going to come in there with a way better. So it's not just farming, but I was just to get out of my way and let me do it. I can do it faster. I can do it better. It's going to take too long to show you how to do it. Let's just get it done. And you go do this instead. I did that for so long. And just, I'm not sure exactly the day it clicked, but I finally realized like, wow, my body is probably going to not be liking me after too long. If I keep on doing it this way, maybe I should actually slow down and train somebody how to do some of this stuff. And
100%. And did it put pressures on the rest of your life? I realize you started like a micro business, so more of a job, effectively working for yourself.
Yeah.
But yeah, transitioned into more of what you would call a fully fledged business.
Yeah.
Did it put pressures on other aspects of your life if you were working crazy hours and trying to get it all done yourself?
Yeah. I mean, it was, I could tell you stories about when my wife and I first got married. We started that business. That was my second landscaping business about 3 weeks before our wedding. I don't recommend that.
Wow.
She is a very trusting woman. But about 3 years into it, I had a dream and just long story short, had a discussion with her and found out that even though she was working with me, we were making decent money. She was running the office. I was running the field. We had a couple crews running at that time, and she was miserable. And tell you how many times I was listening to her cry herself to sleep at night, and I had no idea how to fix it. I didn't know what was wrong, blah, blah. It just turns out I was building business and not paying attention to my home life. I thought I was building it for us, and turns out that wasn't the case. And so that added a lot of pressure there. But thankfully, that's what drove our first sale. We had a business that was sellable at the time. We sold it on us and came back much stronger for the next round, and still build business together today. So.
Yeah, fantastic. So you learned a bit in that first small, like micro business. The second business, it sounds like you learned a hell of a lot more than that. And good on you for sticking it out. And it's good that people share these stories, because it's common. These things are common for lots of people trying to start out, especially when you're new and you don't know what you're doing. Even if you've been around a little while, businesses change, challenges keep coming up. New challenges all the time, and we need to lead through these things, and we need to make sure our entire life is in a healthy state as we make the transition. So I suppose selling that second business, that allowed you to set up your third business, which you had a stronger base of knowledge by that time, no doubt, and set things up a little differently. What would you say you'd set up differently in that next business venture?
Next round. Well, after taking, a little bit of time just to focus on us and strengthening my home relationship, I'm a firm believer that your business is a really direct reflection of your personal life. If your personal life's a mess and you're not organized and you don't have a good calendar and you're just chaotic, your business is going to be the same, right? If your your business is going to be a mess. So it took some time to really get our life figured out, what we want together, what that's going to look like, what our goals were, and carried that into the next business with an agreement between us that this is what we want our life to look like, and this business is going to support that, not the other way around. Usually a lot of people get tied up in, this is what I want my business to look like, I'll do whatever it takes, right? And it doesn't mean that you're not going to do whatever it takes when the business is going to support your life, but it's much more structured. Delegation was a bigger part of my plan, learning how to properly delegate, being willing to let go, putting the right systems in place so that when I let go, I didn't feel like I was out of control, that I had ways to track things. There was the biggest jump, I think, between those two. We grew much faster. We brought on a good team a lot faster. We were able to scale much quicker. So, yeah,
that's brilliant to have the lessons learned the hard way and to get through that difficult time, but to come back stronger than ever. It's ideal when we can learn from other people's mistakes rather than make mistakes ourselves and find ourselves in those spots. But we all at times have that. And no doubt when you're starting this next business with a greater sense of vision and purpose and direction, a business that will support your life. No doubt there were seasons and times you needed to still invest a bit more in. You give it, you hustle a little harder, but it was a season that you would go through together as a couple. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, and it was communication was the key to that. I mean, there were definitely some, it's in landscaping and any construction trade, really, especially in the Midwest where I'm at, you've got your seasonal as far as summer you've got 10, 12-hour days, and in the wintertime it's dark, half the time or more. So, and it's cold. So you don't get as much done if you can get anything done. So we knew that there were going to be those seasons of longer hours and less time at home and pushing harder to get projects done. But we just communicated well, set up our plan around what we knew was going to happen so that could be the life that we chose.
Yeah. Now that's brilliant. And so these days, with all those life lessons, you sounds like you're providing some insights for the people that you're doing consulting for. Do you see these same experiences that you had? Are there others as well that people often challenges and roadblocks? Where do people fall down at creating a business that is not scalable?
Yeah, I mean, really, that whole season I spent of being the bullheaded, like, get out of my way, just let me do it. That has been where I learned the most lessons that are the most applicable, right? Right now, trades aren't just flush with tons of opportunity to hire highly qualified, highly skilled people just everywhere. We're making a comeback, at least in the US, we're seeing that comeback. And I think it's everywhere that this next generation is bringing themselves back into the trades in a way that's very healthy. But there's still a little bit of that stuck mentality around, I can't find anybody that wants to work and nobody has any common sense and those kind of statements. And so that type A personality, really driven, let's just get it done, tends to not be as patient to get that training done. And that's where I've seen the biggest swing for people that are, if they're struggling right now to scale and to grow, it's to slow down and really take the time to understand, like, all the experience that you've got in your head, you got to get that out and on a piece of paper, into a system of some type. You can use some templates, but there's a lot of knowledge in your head that's very specific that you can use to train your team. And that's where we've seen the most fruit, I guess you'd say, the hidden gold.
Yeah, 100%. And so the trust, we speak a lot about trust in businesses and building that trust. Obviously, you need to build trust for your client base and potential clients and customers, but also the trust within the organization in terms of your team. So it sounds as though what you're seeing a bit is bosses who are fairly driven and know how it's done and not always as patient and with their team members, which makes sense. Do you think, how do you go about, if that's how you're wired, how do you go about making sure you become a better listener or leader?
Yeah. And I think like what I saw in my head when you were just saying that is that picture we've all seen of the boss versus the leader. And like the boss is on the cart with everybody whipping them in front of him, and the leader is the guy pulling the charge from the front. It's that comparison. And what I've found, honestly, is we just weren't, especially if you grew up in the trades or grew up on a farm or grew up somewhere that was like just a hardworking, hands in the dirt, hands building stuff kind of environment. The communication side really wasn't shown as important. So we just didn't learn to communicate how much we actually care. And the way we communicate that generally as trades leaders is a very kind of gruff, blunt, like, if I'm even paying attention to you and giving you the time of day, that means I believe in you and I want you to do better. So if I'm yelling at you, that's a good thing, right? That's kind of how I grew up in it. If they didn't think you were going to be worth it, they just ignored you. They didn't even talk to you. And so being able to kind of unlock the fact that you care about these guys. The reason you're so frustrated is because they can do it, and they're not like, you feel like, if I can do it, anybody can do it. I want them to be able to do it. And so just learning how to slow down, to communicate that properly and put it into a way that can allow the true potential that's in that team to be unlocked. By doing that. Yeah.
Do you think there's a generational thing too? I mean, certainly it feels to me like the younger generation, you need to be a little bit more thoughtful in how you might instruct them. It's just a different sort of personality. Is that true?
I think so. Yeah, it's definitely, and I guess I'm kind of categorized. I guess I'm a millennial by date. I don't know. I'm the youngest in my family, and so all my siblings were like the generation ahead of me. I'm like the very early side of being a millennial, and I've kind of embraced it of like, oh, I guess I am kind of, yeah. And then there's Gen Z that is kind of the workforce that's really growing right now, and maybe there's a lot of generational labels now too. So I don't want to try to say I'm hitting all of them, but there's a definite difference between, the generation that was stick it out and, get to retirement, make a paycheck, just stay at the same place, to I want to give my kids everything I didn't have, all those things. And then coming into this generation now that's a little more purpose driven, not as money driven, because things are so, as bad as times can be, it's still the best time that's probably ever existed, right? Like things are so readily available. You can have things in the snap of a finger. Like nothing is really difficult to get, even though what we're used to might not be the same all the time. So it's a more purpose driven, and giving them a cause, showing them the vision, being able to communicate that vision has been important as well.
Yeah, and you touched on something interesting where historically people would get that job and stay in that job or career path forever, but it feels as though things can change super fast. So you'll invest in your team members, and maybe they're an apprentice or a young person starting out, invest a whole bunch of time into them, but they're likely going to leave you. It feels like there's that tension in the whole scenario of building teams, but it's just the way things are now. And I suppose you need to work a little harder to keep the great people that you've got. So that team building is even more important in a whole lot of ways.
Yeah. I mean, you hear, what if I train them and they leave, but what if I don't and they stay? Like, it's just, it's got both sides of the coin. And if you can build a system around the positions that might be high turnover, and create that into a process, right? We've done that, and there's a way to even build a process around some of those more entry level positions that you're going to go through more people before you find the ones that are able to be promoted and put into more leadership roles and project management, things like that. And so if you expect it, it's a whole lot easier to deal with. If you always hope that this one's going to stick, it's so frustrating because you let your foot off the gas on that training side and that recruiting side, and you just got to keep that machine running until you get the right.
That's the whole thing these days. The operations are incredibly important. So someone, if they disappear, if they go get another job, or something happens to them and they can no longer work, to be able to delegate those core aspects to somebody else reasonably fast. Now there'll always be a little bit of a transition, teething time, but the standard operating procedures, just operationally, bedding those things down, getting it out of our head and onto paper or some format that anybody can understand and apply. Is that a big part of what you're up to? Yeah.
Yes. And sometimes that can be intimidating, right? Like it seems like this gargantuan thing that's just like, that's so heavy. I don't even want to start. I don't know where to start. And it's really simple. I mean, it's one of those things. If you sit down just a few minutes a day and write down some things, or if it's something you do on the computer, there's so many ways to do a screen recording of what you're doing. And then you never have to do it again. You just use that as your training video. You can set up your iPhone or your phone, whatever, on a job site in a certain spot and just put it on, not time lapse, but something that will just record you, or get some kind of a camera that you can set up on a job site and record yourself, and then do a voiceover later. And boom, you've got a video SOP. There's super simple ways to do it that aren't going to add time and complexity. But if you don't know that.
Recording the thing that you're doing as you're doing it and explaining it, if that's what it is, that's brilliant. So you just do it once, and then everybody's effectively looking over your shoulder to do that same thing.
And if you're not the
so,
best at it, you can record your team doing it if you want. And that's like, I mean, there's so many, like, record the right person doing the right thing. And then you've got a training video, and you can always update it and change it. But it'll get you started anyway.
Yeah. And so do you help people? How do you go about helping people on that side of things? Do you do the guidance, or do you set up the software as well, or how does that all play out?
Yeah. We generally just stick to pretty simple. There's some automations and stuff that we can work in, and depending on what, there's so many softwares and CRMs that generally when I start working with somebody, they've gotten kind of a comfort with what they've got. And so some things interact well and some things don't. So on my side, I try to just keep it as simple and easy as possible with a lot of like Google tools and, Google Sheets and Google Documents and stuff that can be tied in both ways. But just starting off with like a decision filter process, getting that out of the owner's head into a form that like now your field leaders can start asking the same questions that you ask yourself when you see a problem. Putting that into a worksheet form that they can do either digitally or handwritten that helps them every time they run into an obstacle or they need to make a decision on something to move forward. They don't hesitate. They don't wait to call you until they can get a hold of you or text you and wait for your reply. And there's not constant fires. So building those out slowly, and then that just starts to go a level deeper and a level deeper as those decisions start to unfold. And
well, you're removing yourself as the bottleneck massively. The more of this you can do, and no doubt it would take some time to extract it all out of your head as the founder and the various team members that might be needing to do the video for their key tasks. Bringing it all together, all of a sudden you've got something scalable, and you can go have a holiday as well, which is pretty it's pretty rare starting out in businesses, isn't it? Certainly when you're starting and you just need to hustle hard, and everything relies upon you. You've got to do it for a season sometimes, but that's not ideal for the long term.
Right.
So at what point do you find businesses are at when they start saying, "Hey, something's got to budge here. I'm killing myself." Is there a certain pattern that businesses typically?
Generally it's like if I put it in a range of revenue, like that 1.3 to 1.7 million is probably where they start to really, you can get to 1 million with just some sheer grit and the right team. Like you just put together a ragtag team of just go-getters, you can get there. Once you get there though, to go from 1 to 5 and 5 to 10 and 10 to 20, that's when like the structure needs to be there, the role clarity, like who owns what is their responsibility, how are you going to track it, who's going to track it, who takes ownership of what are the repeatable processes so the customer is experiencing a consistent product over and over so that your reputation is solid. Those things that's what's going to get you from that 1 to 5 million without just collapsing.
And if you can get to 5 million because you've got great systems, why can't you get to 10? Of course you can, because you've built something.
Yeah. And maybe once you get to 10, let's go to 20 and 20 to 40 and 40 to 80. And then after that, it's just, if you've got the systems that'll get you there, just keep repeating the systems, keep refining, but keep repeating.
And so it'll just cap out at the maximum amount of business in the region that you serve. And then you can look at opening up almost like a franchise. It doesn't need to be a franchise, but a model where you open
branches or whatever.
That's brilliant. It's brilliant. And it's something that all of us without training in business need guidance on, because as I said at the start, we start with our skill set and we're brilliant at it. Hopefully we're brilliant at it. And we've got a vision to build something, but we just don't know how to get it from where it is to where it needs to be, really meaningful and create a legacy and all of that fun stuff. Have you got kids?
Yep, we got almost 3-year-old and one on the way.
Brilliant! Congratulations on the one on the way as well. And that's what it is when speaking to a lot of businesses that I do, there's always that reason why, and to have kids that, you build something of size and of substance, it's such a great legacy for the kids to pass on, and just for yourself to know that you've thrown everything at life and you've done everything you possibly can to be a success. It's a great model, a role model for your family and future generations, and everything that goes beyond that. So well done on your work.
Thank you.
Are there things that we probably should have covered that I didn't ask? What else should we look at?
Yeah, I mean, one thing that crossed my mind as we were kind of talking about how to work through some of that stuff. One thing I really love sharing is what I call my 3D decision loop. And that's the tool we use that helps leaders just very simply like take a hold of how to process decisions, whether they're small or big, and how to escalate them. And the 3Ds of the 3D is diagnose, decide, and direction. So you diagnose the problem. What is it? How did it happen? Where did it come from? Decide what your options are that match the core values of the business, and what's the best way to move forward. And then commit to the direction that you're going to go. And I think that last step is where some people get hung up. They diagnose it, they make a decision, and then they kind of hesitate. And it's like, once you make that decision, commit to that direction and go, because if you sit around too long, it might have been the wrong decision anyway. If you just commit to it, get through it, you might realize that you need to re-diagnose and do it again. But that makes it very simple. The 3Ds. 3D is easy to remember for most people.
I wonder if, and certainly from my own experience, decisions, sometimes there's multiple options, A, B, and C, and they're all great. And so you can't decide because they're all likely, best we can tell, they're all good decisions. So you can't make it, maybe that's what's happening. People make a decision, but then I think maybe A or B was better or C was better.
Yeah,
and so you get into
causes that hesitation, right? The paralysis from analysis. Like, they hang around too long thinking back and forth between two, and the team that's moving faster and is getting on to the next job and making more profit, that committed to their decision and just move forward. And if they made a mistake, they can go back, do it again, make a better decision next time and learn from it. That's so true. It's sometimes even if one of the other solutions was a better decision, a decision is better than an average decision is better than no decision at all, because then you're just stagnant and nothing's changing and nothing's moving forward, and you're not learning what's working, what's not, and then adjust course. I like that. What was the first one again? So the 3Ds. Diagnose.
Diagnose,
diagnose the problem, decide the options, and then commit to the option that you're going to go with, the direction. Yeah, great. Love it. Good little model to work through. So, fantastic. What's the best way for people to get a hold of you, or are there resources that they can get their hands on? Yeah, on Instagram, I'm official David Forster. Apparently, there's a lot of David Forsters, so I'm the official David Forster. Check me out there. I like to share a lot of our tools and models kind of in quick description there, for resources. DM me there if you have any questions. I'm very attentive to that inbox. It's actually my thumbs doing the talking. And so if you want to chat about something, that's a great place. And then systemsoversweat.com is our website, and we'll be launching our first Think Like Me Accelerator of 2026 in January, and those will rotate through. It's a 4-week process, and so we'll be running those repeatedly through 2026, which is a great way for teams to implement those decision filters. We walk them through a very intensive way of using it as an onboarding system, so it creates that new habit, gets that ball rolling, and then you can start using that. So, yeah, brilliant. So, and people might be listening to this down the track, so no doubt it'll just keep recurring as we move forward. So Yep.
That's brilliant. We'll certainly put all the links in the show notes so people can find those opportunities nice and easy. So thanks so much, David. It's been a fantastic conversation, and we should do this again sometime. We'll stay connected on the socials.
Yeah, sounds good. Thanks for having me.